Hi, I'm Jason Sanchez. I attend Yavapai College and am a member of the Yavapai College Honors Program. I'm here today on November 27th, 2007 to help provide a well-rounded history of Yavapai College by being one of a series of interviews designed to record the oral histories of the people who have seen firsthand the subtle and distinct changes at Yavapai College. Today I have with me David VanNess. He is the current registrar at Yavapai College, but has worked here for 12 years. Mr. VanNess, can you tell us a little more about your history here at the college?
Thanks, Jason. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I originally came to Yavapai College in 1987. February 2nd, 1987 was my first day, and my original job was the Director of Registration and Records. I worked here for 6 years under the then Registrar Richard Boone, and actually left Yavapai College after 6 years in 1993. I took a position as Registrar at another institution in the Phoenix area. Worked there for several years, and then returned to Prescott. And when the opportunity opened up to become Registrar at Yavapai, I jumped at it, and I actually started this current stint in October of 2001. So I was absent from the college for 8 years.
Okay.
My 20-year anniversary would have been this year, but I've actually been here now 6 years again. I'm in my second stint.
Excellent. Well, you had two very distinct gaps there, and so I'm sure you could give us some insight on the changes between the students over time.
It's been quite different. Many similarities and many differences, as well as the employees. It was quite interesting to come back to the college after such a large time away and see a lot of friendly faces, a lot of familiar faces, folks that have stayed at this college for a long time. The student body at Yavapai has been quite interesting. Partly it has continued with the same kind of demographics. Young folks, of course. We have our residence halls and straight out of high school traditional students. And there's always been a population of folks that we would call seniors, taking classes to continue to enrich their lives and learn and share in new ways. But those have shifted through the years, and it continues to shift. The demographics of the classes, we have economic upturns and downturns, and bring certain folks back to college. During those times, there's folks that are re-engineering their careers or re-careering, or however you want to phrase that, that have been let go out of certain employment, or their jobs have ended, or these days they've retired after full careers and are looking to do different things. We've had folks that have been lifelong military or lifelong this industry or that industry, and are coming back to learn new things, either to go to work or just to rebuild their lives. I think the most significant thing that I notice are the changes in behaviors and changes in the generations, and this is typical of here in the early part of this century, where we've done a great deal of study of the differences in generations. We have the baby boomer generation and the Gen X and the millennials and all the other different names, but I notice a real difference in behavior, whereas a couple decades ago, folks were very autonomous and didn't involve their families a lot in their lives and did things way in advance. And now, with the advent of electronic communication and automation and almost instant messaging of different sorts, folks are much more prone to do things at the last minute or expect very quick responses. The younger folks these days, the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, we typically see them with a team of supporters around them, whether it's peers or family members or some combinations. Interestingly, in this region where we are, that's always been a typical characteristic of Native American families that have come down from the Navajo or Hopi reservation. But now it's much more common to have a young student come into Yavapai, whether it's during orientation or first registration, or even if they've been here a couple of terms, and they have this team with them. And it's a team of supporters, and it's a very interesting dynamic to watch. I can't say that I've seen a great deal of difference in what people are interested in studying, the traditional disciplines, the new disciplines, but the ways they do it now with the amazing things that we can do with personal digital assistants and the internet and laptops and all of those, compared to what we used to do. Everything was on paper. When I first started in 1987, it's been very, very different.
Okay, yeah. And so one of the main increases, one of the most significant things to change at college is the technology boom. And your personal contributions to the college tie around that technology. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
There have been a number of advances at Yavapai College. My first stint here, the main job I had was to help a group of people, this team that we formed, to install a new student information system, the administrative computing system that we used to manage enrollments and registration and the class schedule, tie it in with the finances of the institution. And it was in partial development when I got here, and after several months we actually did go live with that system in approximately August of 1987. And then we were fully on board with it as far as the registration and enrollment components in January of 1988. That system continued here actually, and it's only now in 2007 that we are looking for a different one. And we have been out with studying different vendors and things to replace that now after 20 years. But one of the great benefits that this system had is that we had our own ITS people, our own technology people here on the campus working across the district, and we could make improvements in process much easier if we were using a product that was provided by another company. We have online registration. We were one of the first colleges to do it, and coincidentally ours is pretty old and pretty laborious now compared to some of the newer ones. But we launched an online registration back in 1996. Yavapai did. Up until 3 or 4 years ago, class instructors would get their enrollment on a piece of paper. And one of the things that we were able to do a few years ago was change that over and make it internet accessible. So instructors can actually see in real time who's enrolled in their class, who's not enrolled in their class, who's dropping and adding, those types of things. And one of the biggest time savers for faculty was converting that the next step so they can enter their grades online. And
okay.
Some folks might think that that's a pretty simple task, but we made ours relatively sophisticated, and it works really well for Yavapai College and the big district that we have and all the classes that we have. Again, we've continued to try to keep up with the evolution of the college. There's been constant decisions made to change this, change that. The state of Arizona has changed regulations, and we have to keep up with those changes. That's been one of the real difficulties, is continue to change our software and our organization to match those decisions.
Okay. And now I also heard that development you did greatly affected the nursing division. How they would have to wait before classes. When they'd enroll, they'd come at 2 in the morning to try to enroll, but because of this new development, they were able to sleep.
Well, I shouldn't get the credit for that by any means. There were a lot of people behind this, but one of the realities of, one of the differences in registration life, back in the late 80s and early 90s, we actually did, we still had walk-in registration where our operators did it. We did not have what is typically called arena registration, where a school will take a lot of people and a lot of equipment and go to a large place like a stadium or a gym or a cafeteria and conduct a registration en masse in one environment. We haven't done that at Yavapai College, but still back in the late 80s, we had great competition for a few class slots. And it was very typical that I would come the first day of registration at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and there'd be people already lined up out there. And the efforts focused on automating some things, scheduling classes better, scheduling enough classes to meet the demand that we had, and prioritizing the students who got the shots at those classes. And that's primarily what you're talking about, is that we've given the students who are degree candidates the first opportunity to register, because in effect, when they're admitted into a program like that here, we're basically guaranteeing them that they'll be able to get that program and graduate in a timely way. And we've taken the folks who are here only for general enrichment and personal development, and we're having them register just a little bit later. This is not a rocket science decision, but it's ways of balancing out what we have with the limited technology that we do have, with fairness and basically ethics, who gets to register when. And the nursing folks were the most affected. We had people, we had some of those classes filled up within 10 or 15 minutes originally. Mm-hmm. And this was in the days before the internet. This was in the days before telephone registration. We would often have a line out the hall, down the hall, out the building, and loop back around in the building and back down the hall. A 180-degree snake. And folks would take a good hour to get through that if they were at the end of the line. And that doesn't happen anymore.
Great. Well, that's excellent. Now, also from your position, I'm sure that you have all these statistics, these cool little facts over the years you've compiled.
I actually have at relative fingertips the enrollment history of the college, all the way back to the very first semesters in 1968 and 69, when we had just a couple of hundred students. And I've got a notebook on my shelf that shows the semester enrollment and what we call FTSE. It's FTSE, full-time student equivalents, which is the basis for the state funding. It's a very important figure in our world. We have the record of those for every semester going back to the start of the college. And one can see the regular growth. There was a few times during the history of the college where things jumped dramatically. There was a few semesters where it was relatively unchanging. We had a dip a few times, but nothing of terrible significance. But steadily growth from 100 and some students the first semester, and now we have over 9,000 students attending classes every semester of the college. One of the stories that is, I think, valuable for folks to hear are the changes in that population area in the history of the college. Our county of Yavapai is over 8,000 square miles, so our service area is over 8,000 square miles. But back in the 1980s, Coconino was also part of Yavapai service area. Coconino is one of the 2 or 3 largest counties in the United States. And so I'm just going to guess it's somewhere between 9,000 and 10,000 square miles. Yavapai College also served all of those communities: Flagstaff, Page, Tuba City, Grand Canyon. And our staffs would get on small airplanes and fly from one of those towns to the other for registration events. And then we also held classes there and taught classes. And it was a huge, huge service area for us, and of course increased our enrollment. Near the end of that period, which would have been around 1988 or 89, there also was a move by Northern Arizona University in response to an order from the Board of Regents that they should contract out remedial math and English. So Yavapai took that on also at NAU. And so we were not only serving all of Yavapai County, all of Coconino County, but also a population of the students at NAU and Flagstaff. About 1990, I believe it was, the voters in Coconino County voted to establish their own district. And remarkably quickly, that group of folks put together Coconino County Community College, and within a year were able to start offering instruction. And so Yavapai backed out of Coconino County at that time, including the NAU arrangement. And of course our overall enrollment dipped a little bit, but it was still very strong here in Yavapai County. But that was one of the most significant changes, I think, in the history of the college, was the partnership with Coconino County, and then suddenly it was gone.
Oh, definitely. And I don't see that as a dip. That's more of you established their college, too. You helped establish theirs.
The Coconino County Community College used Yavapai College's curriculum. We basically gave it to them. And a lot of the folks that had worked for our college in that county went to work for the new college. And I talked to an administrator there after he'd been there a couple of years, and he was still using Yavapai as a model. So, when faced with a dilemma, he would often say, "How would this take place at Yavapai College?" We had a very strong college at the time, a strong administration, a good decision-making structure, and it was a model for some other folks.
Oh, great. Okay, so let's see, you've covered your history at the college, how the students have developed over time, some of your contributions, and this unique tie between Yavapai College and the Coconino Community College now. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think one of the things that is often fond in my mind is the campus changes. And while people are the most important things in our lives, the view of this campus has been startling. When I arrived in 1987, we had the main 4 buildings. We had 2 residence halls, several auxiliary buildings on the outside of campus, which were primarily used for vocational education things, automotive shop, the automotive shop, the gunsmithing shop, a welding shop, and that was about all there was. In building 1, where the registration office was, in addition to us and the business office, all in one floor, there was also the president's office, the boardroom, all the computer labs, campus police, facilities office, and ITS, all in one floor of one building. Now I would guess that there are 3 times as many buildings as there were then. At that period, Yavapai College was barely accessible to disabled people, and it was eye-opening when I came here to realize that, unfortunately, we were built on the side of a hill, the Prescott campus, built on the side of a hill, and the access to disabled folks had not been taken very well into account. And it was pretty difficult for someone to get around, ramps and long walks all the way around and such. But the changes that have happened since, the acquisition of the motor vehicle land, Department of Transportation land, where the district offices are now. Back in '88, I believe it was, the voters passed a bond issue. The biggest outcome of that was the performance hall that now exists on this campus. That was also the launching of buildings in Chino Valley, Prescott Valley, and Sedona. The Verde campus has grown substantially. Verde campus is so different now than it was 20 years ago, and a much more beautiful place, and much better suited for collegiate instruction. Again, the Prescott campus has another residence hall, which was built in the mid-90s. We've got a great performance hall. We've got a welcome center. Got some great vocational buildings, and some of those programs have moved around. We've started a police academy. They're just so much different. So then to come back to the main 4 buildings and see how different they look, and to remember, how industrial or institutional it used to feel, and now how it feels much more like a college campus with a central place for students to gather in the dining hall, and to have ramps instead of lots of stairs. It's a very different place. And it's a wonderful place to work. It's a great college, a wonderful place to work, and people from all over the country love to come to Prescott, Arizona, and we're lucky to live here.
Excellent, and I'm sure enjoying the college, and it's from all of this kind of work that was done. So, anyways, we've covered a lot of ground today. I'd like to thank my guest, David VanNess, for his truly unique insight into Yavapai College's history. I would also like to thank our viewers. Your interest in the history of Yavapai College is appreciated. I'm Jason Sanchez, and for now, thank you.
Thank you, sir.